Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justina and here I like to make, create, and inspire fun art things with you. As you see by the title, I have 7 more ways to decorate the Dollar Tree pumpkins for Halloween, and I am so excited to share them with you. These have been so fun and so creative, and I hope you stick around to the very end because the last one is definitely my favorite. If you are new here, I hope you stick around by hitting that subscribe button. If you aren't, welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. It does help out my channel, and without further ado, let's art today. Today is all about these orange pumpkins that Dollar Tree carries basically every year for the past couple of years now. I just love them. They are usually called carving pumpkins, but you can do so many DIYs with them. So for my first DIY, I figured I can make it over by using these Walmart napkins that I purchased from Walmart for 98 cents. I just love the print that is on them. They are so cute with the little top hat, and I just love skulls. After I removed the napkin from the packaging, I then folded it all the way out so that it was completely flat. Next, as you see, I'm trying to remove the ply of napkins from each other. So this is a 2-ply napkin, so I'm just pulling the back piece off of the printed piece because we won't need that piece for this project. After the backing was removed, I then started cutting my napkin into long strips. Now, I first started going with the napkin print. There are lines on my napkin, so I just started cutting down the lines that were already printed for me, but I then started cutting them even smaller later on because it helped me apply them to the pumpkin. Now that my strips were cut out, it was now time to prep my pumpkin. All I am doing is removing the stem from the pumpkin itself. Be very careful doing this because there is a toothpick in the middle that holds the stem into the pumpkin. I removed that as well. Now you can start painting your pumpkin here, but I actually wanted to keep my pumpkin orange because I wanted that to be shown through the napkin when I apply it. So I'm taking some Mod Podge and adding it to the pumpkin, and then I am Mod Podging the napkin down into the pumpkin itself. I believe this is called decoupaging. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just gluing the napkin down to the pumpkin, and I'm trying to follow the creases so that it looks natural as possible. I continue doing this until the whole pumpkin was covered. But like I mentioned earlier, I do cut the strips even shorter because on some spaces of the pumpkin, it was harder for those larger pieces to be glued down. As you see here is how it looks halfway completed, and this is the final reveal of just the napkin onto the pumpkin. It slipped out of my hand. I wanted to add some shading to my pumpkin, so I took some brown Java chalk paint that is in the brand Folk Art. I really enjoy this paint. It goes down really nicely. I took a chip brush and started dry brushing the creases that are in the pumpkin just to give it more dimension and make it look weathered and old. Now I wanted to put a new stem on my pumpkin, and to do so you can use Dollar Tree's little skulls that they carry, but I found these skulls right here at the Party City store. They were about $1.99 and you do get 12 of them, and I thought that was a pretty reasonable price, so I picked up a bag and they were already decorated for me, so all I had to do was glue it down into place. Next, I'm taking some of Dollar Tree's little floral picks that look kind of like just glittered sticks, and I cut them down little short pieces, and I'm gluing that all over the pumpkin, and that completes this DIY. I really love this pumpkin. It was really fun to make and really easy, and the options are endless because there are so many napkins that are out for the holiday season. You can go crazy with this and just make it your own. But I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comments section below. Moving right into our second DIY. Once again, I'm using these types of pumpkins from Dollar Tree. Now, they do come in different colors. Now, they come in white and black, and I thought that was really cool. But I want to paint this pumpkin using my Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Oatmeal. After I painted it and it was almost completely dry, I wanted to start decorating it. So I found these spiders at Walmart. I believe 100 came in this bag. It's called Spider Confetti. It was only about 98 cents. And I just love how small these spiders are, and I have done so many DIYs with them. But for this pumpkin, I wanted to put them all over the pumpkin so it looked like there was a spider infestation. Now, if you have been following me, I've been going for the spider theme this year. I'm really into it, and I really loved how this pumpkin turned out. I'm attaching each spider using my hot glue gun on the low setting so it doesn't burn the pumpkin or the spider. I also make sure that I'm gluing the spiders in the same direction so it looks like they're crawling up the pumpkin. I thought I was just going to cover 1/2 of the pumpkin using these little spiders. I had to take a step back and look at it, and I realized it didn't seem finished, so I do end up covering the whole pumpkin in these little spiders. For the stem of my pumpkin, I'm using one of these wooden cut pieces that Dollar Tree carries in a little bag, and I just hot glued that to the center of the pumpkin. Now, I wanted to add a queen spider or a mama spider to my pumpkin, so I added one of these plastic spiders that I had in my collection that is actually missing a leg to the top of my pumpkin. I then added more spiders, and that completes this DIY. This is definitely my second favorite pumpkin in today's DIYs. Now, I know you can see some of the hot glue strands still left onto the pumpkin, but I purposely left that there because it looks like the spiders are making a web onto the pumpkin, and I just love it. For this pumpkin, it's actually going to turn into 2 projects. So I wanted to paint my pumpkin again, and I painted it a black color, solid black. Now, Dollar Tree does carry them in black, but I didn't have any on hand, so I just painted mine. The next part of this project, I'm going to use these foam balls in the colors gold and white. And I wanted to add these to the pumpkin to make it more glamorous I was trying to make it look more glamorous, but they kind of end up turning into something else. I am taking an X-Acto knife and I will be cutting those foam balls in half so that when I glue them to the pumpkin, it has a flat surface to adhere it down. Please remember, if you are recreating this project, be careful with any sharp objects that you use to cut with because it is very dangerous and these X-Acto knives are very sharp. Now, I will continue cutting until all of these foam balls are cut in half. Here's what the foam balls look like after I was completed cutting them in half. Now it's time to attach them to my pumpkin. Now I'm just using my hot glue gun once again to attach each foam ball down into the pumpkin. And I'm using the low settings because these are foam. If you use a higher setting, it will start melting the foam and you will just have the foam balls kind of curl into itself. I know this by doing it myself, so just be very careful with the heat that you use with foam. Now, my purpose with this pumpkin was just to have them scattered everywhere, and since the foam balls have some glitter on them, it would just add that shine and shimmer to make a glamorous pumpkin. Once I had all of the foam balls where I liked them, the last thing I did was take some gold metallic paint and started painting the stem of the pumpkin, and that completes this part of the DIY. This is how the pumpkin turned out. Now, I still like it as is. I think I should have painted the pumpkin using some black glittery paint to make it more glamorous. But nonetheless, I really liked how this turned out. But when I was looking at it further, I noticed that it started to look more like a cauldron to me. And that brings us to our fourth DIY. I started just adding more foam balls on top of the pumpkin using different sizes of the foam balls. I even have really tiny foam balls that are meant to go into a snow globe, and I started gluing that down. I wanted this to look like a witchy overflowing cauldron in these magical bubbles. So I turned the pumpkin over to give it some feet. I'm using these gems that I purchased from Dollar Tree, and they come in a bunch of different colors now. They're really good for feet. I'm using my hot glue gun to attach them, and I do paint them black. After that was done, I wanted to add handles to my cauldron. So I found these little cauldrons in my stash, and I'm removing their handles, and I will use them for my cauldron's handles on each side of my cauldron. I'm just attaching them using my hot glue gun, and that completes this DIY. Here is the final look on this pumpkin. I really loved how it turned out. I'm so glad I added more foam balls to the top of it to really make it look like a overflowing cauldron. I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comment section below. For my next pumpkin, I wanted to create something simple and easy. Once again, all you're going to need is some black and white paint. Now, I had a pumpkin already painted. I made these a couple years ago, and I wanted to give it a refresh look. Now, you can leave it like this by painting the whole pumpkin white and then just adding black stripes in the creases of the pumpkin, and they turn out awesome. But I wanted to add the bigger stripes to this pumpkin, so that's what I did, and that completes this DIY. Here's how they turned out. I did include the other pumpkins that I've created before with the creases painted black, and here is the newer pumpkin with the thicker lines. I would love to know which one out of the two looks better, the thin lines or the thicker lines. If you have been following me and been watching my videos, these three pumpkins may look familiar to you. I had made these in a previous project. If you would like to see that video, I'll make sure to link it here in the upper right hand corner for you and in the description box below. All I did for these three pumpkins was paint them a solid color in yellow, orange, and white because I wanted to make a candy corn stack pumpkin set. So I'm attaching each pumpkin to the next pumpkin using my hot glue gun, once again in the low setting so I do not burn the foam. After my pumpkins have been stacked, it is now time to decorate the top of the pumpkin, and I'm adding a stem. My stem is just a cork piece from an old bottle of wine that I painted in the color oatmeal. Then I started just adding some embellishments with some leaves and some berries that are all purchased from the Dollar Tree. My next steps were to add little faces to each one of the pumpkins, and I'm doing so using my Posca paint markers. This step is really unnecessary. If you do not want to have little faces on your pumpkins, you could totally leave this out. I just thought it was really cute for this DIY. Remember, you can decorate however you like. If you just want to keep them a solid color, you totally can. It will still work perfectly for the Halloween season. Here's how my little pumpkin stack turned out. I absolutely love it. I think it's so adorable. Remember, if you would like to see the full version of this DIY, I will have the link in the description box below. Remember, if you do not want the faces on the pumpkins, you can just leave it a solid color and it still looks awesome. For our seventh and final pumpkin DIY of the day, this one is my favorite. I took a pumpkin and I cut it in half, as you see here. Now, I did use an old pumpkin that I already painted, but you can use a new one, an old one. It works just fine. And I am now going to paint the inside of my pumpkin. This pumpkin is going to be a man-eating plant. I have been seeing them be created in so many different ways, and I wanted a really little one or a semi-little one for my home decor, and this is how I did it. After I was done painting the inside of my pumpkin in black chalk paint, I started painting the outside of my pumpkin. Now, I mixed up a couple of green paints to come up with this color green, and I make sure to paint both parts of the pumpkin. While my paint was still wet, I wanted to add more detail to my little creature, my plant creature here. So I took a darker green paint and I started painting on these lines going all different directions. After the paint had time to dry, I wanted to add the lips to my man-eating plant, and to do so, I'm just using my hot glue gun to give me that risen effect on top. Now, I did this to the best of my ability and make sure it looked like a pair of lips. After the glue had time to dry, you can see here it is puffy and it gives it a 3D effect. And I will start painting that using my Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Red or Imperial. So the question of the day is, who has seen the movie Little Shop of Horrors and who has liked it or disliked it? I have seen it and I do have to say I like it. For the next part of this project, you're going to need something to hold everything together. Now, that could be a skewer, the bigger ones that you can find at Walmart, but I'm using these paint sticks. I found this stick at Lowe's. It came in a pack, and I believe it was around $2 to $3. I'm painting my stick in my Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Java. I added to both sides, and when that was done, I then started adding this Irish green color on top just to make it look more like the plant stick and stem. Now that my plant had time to dry, I then wanted to add some teeth to this man-eating plant. And to do so, I was contemplating many different ways on how to make the teeth. Now, you can make them with clay, you can make them with foam. I've even seen people just use paper. It all depends on you. Now, you have to figure out which side is your top of the mouth and bottom of the mouth, and there's really no right or wrong way to do this. You could just place the teeth however you like. I did start with the top of the mouth to make sure that it looked like a mouth. I'm using these gems again. I purchased these from Dollar Tree. They come in a big pack in a few different colors. Now, they do not come in white, so I do eventually have to paint these. I'm attaching them using my hot glue gun once again and spacing them out until the whole top of the mouth is full. Now, I don't go all the way to the back because I wanted it to look like the mouth was slightly open. And I do continue this for the bottom half of the mouth as well. Now that I have my teeth in place, I do set them to the side and start painting them. I did add red to the bottom of the teeth, and then I painted the teeth itself in a white color. Now I didn't show it because I've shown you painting many things before, so I just fast forward it to the finished product. Here's how it looks. Now some of the teeth does have some of that red on top of it because it bled down, but I kind of like that look because it looked like blood on the teeth. Next, it's time to attach everything together. So I first added that painter stick on top of where I wanted it to go. I pressed it down into the pumpkin to make an indentation so that I know where to cut, and I'm using an X-Acto knife to cut out a hole so that the paint stick can go through the pumpkin. I cut through the bottom mouth portion of the pumpkin to add the skewer into it, and then I pushed it up until it started touching the top of the mouth pumpkin portion. That is where I will hot glue the painter's stick onto the pumpkin, and I'm using high heat for this because I actually want it to melt into the foam pumpkin so that it has a stronger hold. Now this was really hard to film, but I did remove the bottom half of the mouth to add more glue to the inside, and then I put the bottom half of the mouth back onto this stick and added more hot glue to hold it in place. The pot I'm using for my plant is a Dollar Tree ceramic pot that I already painted in black and white stripes. I will fill the pot using this floral foam, and I am wedging it as tight as I possibly can all over the bottom of it so that it can have a tight hold when I put the stick into the pot. Now, when I add the stick into the floral foam, I am going on a slant. This is top heavy due to the gems being a little bit of a weight for the mouth. So if you put it on a slant, it will hold it into place and it won't fall over. The last thing I needed to do was add some greenery all around the man-eating plant so it looks like a plant itself. I had a garland that I just removed the leaves from because they were really big, but you can find leaves in all sorts of craft stores and at Dollar Tree, and I'm just using hot glue to attach it to the plant. The last step I needed to do was add more of those leaves to the pot, and I did add some fall leaves down there as well. Also with some stems to make it look like his roots were coming out of the pot, and that completes this DIY. This is how my man-eating plant turned out, and I just adore it. I think it is so fun. It was really fun to make, and I just think it makes a huge impact. I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comments section below. Once again, here is a quick overview of everything that I have created in today's video. All 7 pumpkins. I had such a blast making each and every one. I think they're so unique and so quick and easy, but will bring a pop of something to your Halloween home decor this year. I think you should really try to at least make one of these because they were super fun. Once again, I would love to know what you think about all of these DIYs down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, don't forget the question of the day. Have you seen the Little Shop of Horrors, and if you liked it or did not like it? Remember, if you are new here, I hope you stick around by hitting that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free, and if you click on the bell notification, YouTube should notify you every time I upload a new video, and I would really love for you to be part of my virtual art family. If you would like to see sneak peeks on the next video or further conversation with me, I would love for you to check out my Buy Me a Coffee page. The link will be in the description box below. If you decide to recreate any of these DIYs that were in today's video, I would love to see how you make them by sending me a photo in my other socials. Here I have a Facebook page and also an Instagram page, and the links are down in the description box below. And if you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. As always, thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.